Hey y'all, Natalie here for a Cherry on Top design team. I'm creating a Christmas layout today using these 49 and Market Vintage Artistry Peace and Joy rub-ons. Y'all, I've seen Jess be using these lately on her stuff, her projects, not even just layouts. She's using them on other maybe like off the page projects, and they are so fabulous. So I thought, I need to try those as a layer in my mixed media, and I will go ahead and tell you I am hooked, y'all. So my idea is I'm going to cut 2 triangles through the corners of this 12 by 12. I'm kind of showing you how I'm going to set up the layout, and I've used that clear gesso, and you can kind of see I'm bringing it down between the 2 triangle pieces that I showed you. I grabbed all of my green distress oxides except for the moss one because it looks like baby diarrhea, and I'm just like scraping them onto the gessoed area of the paper, adding water to create watercolors, and kind of just like mixing them together on the page. So you're gonna watch me do that here for a minute. I decided I like to use that big brush better, get more water on there, make it a more organic look. And I love all of the greens, but like that wilderness color is so dark, but when you add the water to it, it gets so much lighter. So there I added it again, and then when I went back over the area that had already added water to, it almost didn't want to dissolve. Like you can still see the corner of the ink pad, and so not really sure why that happened, but I mean it still looked fine, and I'm like kind of swirling it together. But then when I started drying it, I thought, you know what? I love to use those powdered inks. So I grabbed one of the Color Burst by Ken Oliver. One of my favorite ones is this Phthalo Green. And so when it just barely had a little bit of water still on the page, because I roll over it with my paper towels and I hit it with my heat gun, and then I add that, and that adds the vibrancy that is super gorgeous, and exactly what I was looking for. So that's pretty, but it's a little light for me. I like a lot of color. So there I've sprinkled it, and I'm loving it. I need to add a little bit more at the top there, but I'm using my little Tim Holtz spritz bottle to spritz a little bit of it. And I don't like to combine the colors. Like it's meant to be a watercolor, and you just kind of like add a lot of water and mix it all up. But I like the pixels. I like to keep it really pixelated. I like to use it on textured white cardstock, which this is from American Crafts. And I like to keep it pixelated. So I don't use my water and my brush to kind of like combine all the colors. So I'm going to leave those little blobs of color sitting there to dry exactly as they are. So there it's the dried, and I'm loving how it looks. You can see the different colors of the inks. There's not just green, it's green and blue and yellow, and it's gorgeous. So I'm really happy with how that turns out, and it matches that paper so well. It's from Vicki Boutin Warm Wishes, and it's a snowflake pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tear off the top corner triangle, and then I'm going to take that down to the bottom corner, and I want them to be like the same triangular shape. So I'm going to use it as a guide to tear the bottom triangle as well. And I love Vicki's distressed papers. They go really well with my style of mixed media, I feel like. So I'm loving how that looks. I'm going to add the photos back on to see how it looks. I like the pops of red. I struggle with red mixed media, so I love that I can use the green, which is my favorite, and put the red pictures on top, and then I have the red and green Christmas page, right? So I'm going to start using the transfers, and there are 6 beautiful pages of these transfers, and they're about 6 by 8 size, so you get a lot in this pack. I'm going to use these different ones. They have words on them, but they're not really legible. They might be in another language, or they might just be gibberish, but they're nothing to be reading. They're just for looks. So at least on my pages. So I picked out a few, but before I add them down, I decided to do some stamping. So I used the same inks that, a couple of the same green ink pads I had used for the background. And I just grabbed a couple of really beautiful scripty snowflakes that kind of match the Vicki Boutin paper. And I do lots of multi-generational stamping, which means I ink it up once and then I stamp it multiple times all over the page to get the different tones and the different levels of intensity. It adds to that distressed look. And I'm kind of keeping it only on the parts that have color because I do want a couple of white areas on the page to allow the eye to rest. So I did 2 different colors and 2 different snowflake stamps. So now to add some of the rub-ons, and I couldn't stop. It was so fun. I love these. I will be buying all of the rub-ons, all the different styles and collections of these. I'm obsessed. So thanks, Jess, for turning me on to those. They just add the perfect layer to my mixed media. They just add this beautiful distressing that I really don't think that I could achieve any other way. And I like that I can add these little red pops again to kind of go with the red photos. And they come with that little plastic rubbing stick and it works fabulously. You can kind of tell when the entire rub-on is released because the paper will kind of like pop up. But even if I don't make it, if I don't rub on the entirety, I just add it down on another section and rub it off again. Off screen, I sewed around the triangles with some aqua thread. And I will say that even with the gesso and all that watercolor on it, I did not have any trouble getting these to rub on. At one point, I go to add more and the paper is still wet from something else. And it did give me a little bit of trouble, but duh, I shouldn't have done that. Like, make sure the paper is dry and you should have no trouble with these rub-ons. So there's my title. I use these pewter glitter thickers from my stash. I think they're Dear Lizzie, but they're really old. I had it upside down, sorry. But the titles, or the title is going to say Santa, We Can Explain, because, woo, these kids, woo, these boys are something else. So I backed the photos with white cardstock, and I'm distressing the edges of that as well to go with the papers and the whole overall kind of feel of the look of the design. And I decided to do the horizontal and vertical together on each side, and I'm really happy with how that looks. So I'm just arranging them so that I can add more rub-ons. And I think I ended up going ahead and sticking them down. But I do want to, make it seem as though the rub-ons are peeking out from around the edges of the photos. So I am using kind of the holly branches and the little, there I go, sticking them down. And I did use my red tape for that because of all the mixed media on the background. I wanted to make sure that they stuck really well. And that red tape will do so. I don't think that the tearaway tape or the cherry tape would have any problems, but I just want to be extra safe. Nothing worse than flipping through a scrapbook and all your pieces are floating around your page protector, right? So I'm going to also throw in these die cut ephemera by the Merry Wishmas collection by Fancy Pants. So I'm just kind of figuring out how I want to layer it. So I add in some of the 49 and Market rub-ons, and then I also use the die cut ephemera on top of that. And it does have a nice crisp white border, which is fine because my background paper has crisp white. And I do end up distressing the edges of the ephemera. I don't always do that, but I just thought that it would lend to a good little bit of texture along with everything else on this page. So now I'm just kind of adding more rub-ons. I'm telling you, it was so hard to stop. They're so fun, and there's so many different bits and pieces. This collection is super gorgeous, and I'm not gonna lie, the 49 and Market stuff, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely beautiful, but the papers don't necessarily lend to my design style. They're not something that I would typically choose to add to cart, but these rub-ons are a way that I can incorporate those gorgeous designs into my own style. So if you always are looking at a beautiful collection, but you think, that doesn't really go with the types of pages I do, figure out a way to make it go. I am so glad that I bought these. Like I said, I'm obsessed, and I'm going to be buying more of them. Actually, I think I already got another one that came with this past order. So I have all the title down there. Now I just use Nuvo adhesive to help with the foam thickers, even though they typically stick pretty well. But again, we don't want free floating things in our page protector. So I am grouping clusters of the die cut ephemera with the rub-ons, and I'm loving how that looks. I love all those pops of red. The only thing about the rub-ons is there's no really great way to store them. You could put them back in the bags, but they don't have a zipper or even like a sticky closure. I'm gonna have to find a Ziploc bag probably to put them in, to make sure that they don't come loose of the backing paper and maybe like stick to other things. But that, and when you're ready to commit to putting them down, like that's it. There's no changing it. Like, whereas like a sticker or a die cut, you typically could peel it up and like readjust it if you need to. Nope. The rub-ons is there, but you know, that's the nature of it. Just be sure of where you want to put it first. I'm covering up my photos with some scrap paper because I have the new Distress mica sprays. I think they're the metallic ones. There's a bronze, there's like a gold, and there's a pewter. The pewter is that gray color that's the same as those gorgeous alphas, so that's the one I choose. And it is the perfect addition to this page. It's exactly what it needed. This dark color splatter. It is very loose, so the formula is very thin, so it comes out very quickly. Just something to be aware of when you're ready to splatter. It's gonna go a lot. You can see it made a lot of splatters. But now after I take off the papers, I'm going to just go into the little sections that it didn't quite hit and just add a couple of drops here and there. Just be super careful with it. But it's this gorgeous shimmery color. It's like a steel, gray, metallic, shimmery gorgeousness. So it's exactly what the page needed, I feel like. And I think we're almost done. I'm just adding in a few word rub-ons, and that one I didn't rub all the way down, so it kind of pulled away a couple of the ho-hos, but you know what? I think it adds to the distressed look. I could have realigned it and finished rubbing down the parts that I pulled up, but I decided not to because I liked the distressed look of it. And I added naughty or nice at the top, and off screen I will add my journaling, but that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to link down below with the rub-ons, a direct link to those with my affiliate link, but also an affiliate link to Cherry on Top. Make sure to check me out on the blog today. You can see all the still photos there. And I had so much fun creating this layout. I hope that you are inspired to use some rub-ons or find a collection you love and pick something that you maybe don't typically choose to use and make it work for your style. I thank you guys for watching, and I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe. Bye, y'all.